Hey everybody, it is your happy chick Leslie Polk here for your Hear Your Truth Tuesdays. I know I've been MIA for the last couple of weeks, but I'll get to that in a minute. Today I didn't even leave my name up. Today we're gonna jump right in and talk about the elephant in the room, which is the stress around the decision around Roe v. Wade. I just can't even begin to put into words the emotions and the feelings around that. And it hurts my heart that, in my lifetime, I've seen it come and go. Roe v. Wade passed in 1968. I was born in 1969. So it was around just barely, it was brand new when I was born. But now, here at 53 years old, it's reversed and it just, it's one of those things that you just don't think about ever happening. So today I want to talk around about the stress around it because I'm sure there are lots of people that are feeling very emotional and stressful around this decision, no matter what side of the fence you're on. Let me be clear. Like I don't have to share my opinion, but I'm going to share my opinion. And my opinion around it basically is, yeah, I'm appalled. I can't even believe this is happening, um, because I believe abortion should, you have the right to an abortion. I don't know if I would actually have one. I've been fortunate enough not to have to make that decision. And I'm thankful that I've never had to make that decision because it is a hard decision to make for a woman, for a family, for a couple to sit down and have to make that decision, especially for a woman in the case of rape or incest. It's just I can't. I won't even go there in this time. But I do want to say that I I it hurts my heart that we are at a place. And again, I also won't go down the rabbit hole of the Pandora's box that opened this nonsensical direction because as you can see, I need to manage my own emotions around it. And I think we all know what we're talking about. So let me get back to the issue at hand, which is the stress around Roe v. Wade. No matter what side of the fence you're on, you're going to be feeling stressed today. So um, what that means is that it's a possibility that not only are we feeling emotions around Roe v. Wade, but also especially people of color, people that are historically marginalized, and people who are in rural or more of your poor communities. This decision has a direct impact because ideally, I mean, historically, those are the folks that find themselves needing an abortion because of becoming pregnant, out of wedlock, or just having children and not having the finances to raise those children or childcare. There's so many layers on this that is so much bigger than what we're going to get into today. But basically, I just want to address that some of the stress you're feeling might not even be around this decision. This decision might be the catalyst to other fears and concerns and just this rabbit hole of thoughts that go on in your mind. So be cognizant of that as well, which will lead into pretty much like the third point that I'm going to make. So let me get into some of the things you can do and how to address some of that stress. And one is to use your good emotional intelligence and to self regulate. It's okay to have a strong feeling about really anything. You can feel strongly and passionately about many, many things. It's really mostly important how you what you do about it. People who get out of their cars and attack people and shoot guns and do different things, that is not good self-regulation. That is not working together in a community to come together. But when you are angry or excited or frustrated or passionate about something and you use that energy in a constructive way, that is good self regulation. And that's what we want to see. Use your passion in a constructive way, which leads me to my second recommendation to manage your stress, which is to have your voice. Use your voice constructively to voice your side of the argument. If you feel strongly enough, if you want to be a part of the marches, then get out there and march for your side of the argument. If you want to take to social media and have your say about your side of the argument. I will say this, it may fall on deaf ears, but I will say, please be constructive and not destructive in your comments, especially on social media, because we have enough of those. But that said, the way to regulate and manage the stress that comes from all this passion and all this pent up stuff that, oh my gosh, I have to say what I have to say, then say it. Get out there and say it. That is the time we are in. And for better or worse, anybody who has an opinion can get out there and voice that opinion. So for better or worse, have your say and just say how you feel. But please be constructive and not destructive. So get out there and support your side of the argument. And lastly, what I will say is do what you can control. And that will manage your stress also. Does it actually impact you directly? And I know people are like, of course it does. It impacts us all. Hold on a second now. I'm 53 years old. I don't have children. And as much as I would like to have children, I am past my childbearing years. So does this really impact my life? This decision, not the potential decisions that could come after it, not the other stuff that may follow it. None of that. We're talking about this specific decision. Does this impact your life directly? And for me, my answer is no. So regardless of how I feel about the decision, one way to manage that stress is to focus on the control that you do possess, and you control you. So if it doesn't impact you directly, that's one way to kind of remind yourself to let me roll it back just a bit and just, be aware of how it's going to play into your life directly. The other stuff, obviously, your emotions and all of that, have your say, get it out, do that self-regulation of being aware of your emotions, being aware of your anger and frustration, and get it out. Yell, cuss, and cry. I always say that. Yell, cuss, and cry, and get it out. But what I will say is do that for yourself. Get it out to the public as far as having your voice and wanting to have a say, march, take the social media on your side of the argument. But as it relates to your direct stress, also focus on how it impacts you directly. And if it does, find out what your rights are, what you can control, how you can manage it. And if it doesn't, then it doesn't. And allow yourself to breathe where that's concerned also, to hopefully bring some of that down. Which leads me, as far as, doing what you can control, leads me to boundaries. You're going to need to set boundaries. We all need to set boundaries. You have the right, just like I mentioned earlier, what I was just saying, you have the right not only to your opinion, but you also have the right to share it or not share it. There are going to be people, just like with the COVID shots and all these other things, there are going to be people that will be asking you, so what do you think? How do you feel about this? What's this going to do? What is your opinion on it? They're going to ask you, especially as a woman, and especially as a woman of color. They're going to ask you for your opinion. You can share it if you want to, or you cannot share it if you don't want to. I don't know why I know y'all always see me reaching for the power cord. I should remember to do this before every recording. Anyway, that's what I love about it being live. You have the right to or not to share your opinion. So be very vocal about that. You do not have to share it if you do not feel comfortable, and feel free to use your words to say, I don't wish to join into this conversation. You can use verbiage like that. I don't feel comfortable talking about my own personal politics and religion or my own personal views to strangers or to people I don't know. Whatever you feel comfortable saying, you have the right to say it. I don't wish to comment on this topic. Whatever you wish to say, just say it. Use your words to say, I don't want to talk about it, basically. That's it. You don't have to get fan. I don't want to talk about it. Period. And it's as simple as that. Or feel free to share your opinion. Just recognize that if you do, you open up the conversation. It's kind of like in court. As soon as you say something about an issue that you said you weren't going to say anything about, then it's open to everyone to discuss it. So just keep that in mind. So next, as far as boundaries, as I mentioned before too, you haven't seen me for the last couple of weeks, and I will tell you it is because 2 weeks ago I was training in Wisconsin, and when I tell you it was the worst experience of my life, I cannot tell you. I hope that I serviced the clients that I was there to see. I hope I did a great job for them because that's what's important. But as far as my experience traveling, it was possibly the worst travel experience ever, between the flight on Delta and the car and the hotels being in it. I could go all day. That said, when I came home, I decided at the last minute to take a week off. So that means I had to cancel clients, I had to make changes to my schedule and all that at a moment's notice, which is hard for me. Even as much as I train everyone, I mention to everyone how to do these things, it's still hard for me to do that. It's like I feel like I'm letting someone down. And you're probably like, yeah, I know, me too. Well, sometimes you just gotta pull the trigger on it, because I would have been of no use to anyone after that trip. So this past week, I took that time off, and I'm so thankful I did, because it totally recharged me, it refreshed me. So that also means I did not do Hear Your Truth Tuesday last week either. So the week I was on the road and the week I was here resting, I did not do Hear Your Truth Tuesday, which is important to me because I want to be there for you all no matter what every week. But I had to just call it and just say, you know what? I cannot. And sometimes that's all you have to say. I cannot. And be okay with it. And even if you're not okay with it, just give yourself that permission to say, and yes, one of the P's of the happy, give yourself permission to go, I know I feel a little stressed and uneasy around this decision, but I had to make this decision for me. It's that simple. So be true to yourself and set those boundaries for yourself. And lastly, because I know I've gone way over time, we're good. Hang in there with me. Remind yourself what's important to you today. There's so much going on in the world, and now people are changing careers. We're getting into that entrepreneurial and self-employment, doing ride shares and things like that. And some people are really making a go of it. They're really turning that into their primary source of income. And there's going to be a lot of noise in your ear telling you what you can and can't do and what you should and shouldn't do and what's best for your life. So remind yourself and keep those boundaries in check as to what your own specific goals and objectives are. The first thing, and I've said this before, make sure you have a clear vision of what you're going after, first of all. But once you have that, don't let the people that are living in their own fear project that fear onto you. That's their stuff. And they're welcome to their opinion, and it's up to you whether or not to listen or just let them talk and it can just roll off your back. Some people can do that. I'm very good at just letting someone talk and be like, oh, okay, I understand, because I recognize that as their perspective. That's your opinion and that's your perspective, and you are entitled to it. Now, whether I change my direction as it relates to that opinion and that advice, that will be entirely up to me. But you're welcome to have your opinion. And then there are times where I just shut it down. So it's really up to you. But just remind yourself what's important to you today as it relates to your job or career, your personal life, your goals. Have that as your as your clear vision and how you're moving forward in the world. And don't let what's going on in the world interrupt that plan, because no matter what the chaos, short of bombing us, your vision and your plan still has to move forward. So whatever's going on in the world, you need to continue to move on with what you are planning to do, whether it's today, for your future, for your retirement, for, again, your career, your children, your families, whatever. You want to make sure that that is your focus, and other people's advice, solicited or unsolicited, make sure you're keeping that boundary and making sure that it works for you. All right, so today we unpacked a lot. So the day ran way over than I like to, but hopefully you got a lot out of it, got something that spoke to you in this chat today. And I just want to be here for you all, my audience. Please follow me on Facebook and write in the comments. Let me know, one, what topics you'd like me to cover, but also share how you're feeling about some of the things that I talk about. Definitely share what's going on in the world today, because it also helps other people when they see those comments. It really gives other people permission and a license to also chime in on, how they're feeling. And that's really what healing is all about, right? It's having that community, that safe space to have those conversations. So let's create that safe space to have that conversation and safety and that self-healing. So work on that. Also follow me on Instagram at LP Speak as well. Have some wonderful advice there for you, wonderful tips, gives you information to my podcast and everything that's going on with LP Speak. So please follow me on Instagram. And go to my website at www.lpspeak.com to get your free guide to 10 practices to achieve the habit of happy, and also to find out what's going on. There's going to be some updates coming soon, and there's so much coming up for me with LP Speak that's there for you. So please tune in to me. Check us out all the time. There's so much information out there to help you deal with your mind, body, and spirit. Keep that habit of happy going. And like I always say, until next time, go